The early 1800s represent a dynamic period in the history of the Midwest. Euro-Americans were expanding westward at this time, displacing many native populations. Native Americans were, however, still acquiring trade items during the early 1800s, objects that were replacing native-made items that had been used for generations. Today, I will briefly review the artifacts recovered from one such newly discovered native site, a probable Potawatomi homestead along the Spoon River that likely dates to the 1820s. Archival information in the form of government documents and county histories suggests that the site was utilized by the Potawatomi during this time and abandoned just prior to the Black Hawk War of 1832. Between 2010 and 2013, in association with an IDOT bridge replacement and levee maintenance project, ISAS conducted limited investigations at the site. In addition to walking the plowed agricultural field looking for artifacts, these investigations included metal detector surveys, auger test transects, and the excavation of small test units. While we were able to survey the entire field, our excavations were restricted to the final project limits, a 3-meter or 10-foot wide strip along the field edge. As can be seen from our site map, most of the occupation area including the main part of the site, lies outside the final project limits and therefore cannot be intensively investigated. Native Americans were proficient recyclers of Euro-American trade items, frequently cutting and shaping bigger objects into smaller tools and ornaments. Brass by far was the most common raw material recovered from our site. A source for many of these artifacts is the large-sized brass kettle that was often cut into smaller pieces. Kettle parts were made into weapons such as arrow points and arrow tips, both of which are rare finds in Illinois, having been recorded from only a few locations. Kettles were also recycled into ornaments for clothing and hair. Copper wires, which may have originally functioned as kettle handles, were reused as coiled hair ornaments and also as tweezers to pluck out hair. Tinkling cones were sewn to clothing and blankets and produced a wind chime-like sound as they hit one another while the person walked or moved. The cufflink button, while possibly lost from a Euro-American style shirt worn by the Native Americans, could have been used as a decorative item also sewn to clothing. Pictured on the left are 2 drawings by Carl Bodmer, done in 1833, that illustrate the use of a coiled wire and buttons as decorative elements. Other brass items we recovered include a ramrod guide from a flintlock musket, as well as an engraved trigger guard from a musket. Shown here is a Northwest trade gun, which was frequently dealt to Native societies at this time. The next most common raw material at the site is lead. The clips could have been used as clothing ornaments or tweezers, while flint caps were used to secure a gun clip within the jaws of a gun cock. Other lead items include sprue, dross, and melted lead waste, as well as scrap pieces of sheet lead that functioned as a source of raw material. Sprue is the excess material formed within a mold, while dross is the mass of impurities that float on the surface of some molds and metals. The presence of sprue, dross, and melted waste pieces all indicate that melting and casting of lead occurred at the site by the native inhabitants. Lead has a relatively low melting point and can be processed over a hot campfire. The objects the natives were probably casting at the site include lead ammunition balls. 75% of the recovered lead balls fall within the 52 to 57 caliber range, which is the caliber of the before-mentioned Northwest trade gun. If you look closely, you will notice tiny indentations on some. These imprints are similar to human teeth marks. At one time, it was common to store ammunition in the mouth while hanging on horseback or while in battle. The ammunition could then be spit into the gun barrel and quickly fired. As they say on television, do not attempt this at home, especially while riding a galloping horse. One engraved silver pendant was found at the site. Similar to the brass artifacts, this item was likely cut from a larger piece. It was probably attached to clothing or a bracelet, or perhaps functioned as an earring. Glass artifacts include numerous tiny trade beads, one of which we discovered on the site surface, as well as 3 pieces of dark green or olive glass that are probably from liquor bottles. Also pictured here are common bottle types used during the early 1800s. We also unearthed a church arrow point. The presence of this artifact is noteworthy because stone arrows were rarely associated to native sites in the 1800s. 3 European church gun clips were found, and 2 small fossil crinoid stem pieces that may have functioned as beads were also recovered. While limited in scope, our investigations have added a wealth of significant information to the poorly documented native utilization of the Spoon River Valley during the early 1800s. Hopefully the opportunity will arise to continue our research there. Thank you.